Hi everybody, Cheryl and Lady coming to you from the Ladies Garden Home. It's a beautiful evening in mid-October, so I thought it would be a great time for an October garden tour. So I hope you join us. So we are a couple of days past our average first frost date, and luckily enough we have nothing coming for at least the next 10 days, but the long-term forecast even says it might be milder than that. In my zone, which is 7A, I live in Southwest Connecticut. It sounds like we should be really super cold here by now, and believe me, we'll get there. So we still have some growing time left to go, which is great because I still have things that I'm harvesting and I don't need to pull anything that I don't need to pull. And for this tour, I think I'm going to jump around a little bit. I'm not just going to go in like a circle around the garden. I have to admit that I have not been keeping up with the garden the last couple of weeks. October has been very busy, and then when I did have some time, we've had torrential rains almost every weekend since September. It's very annoying, but I do have to really start cleanup. But as you can see, the eggplant hasn't died back yet. I doubt I'm going to get any more harvest from it, but those don't need to be pulled yet. The sweet peas sure do. So do the cucumbers. The mint is still growing, and although it starts looking like this towards the end of this season, I can still harvest some mint for my tea if I want. The carrots are really starting to grow. It loves this weather. If you remember, these carrots I just scatter casted from seeds that were from a flower head from a carrot that had just gone to seed this summer. So I think I probably did that around the end of August. This nasturtium is doing well, as are the lavender. It forms such a pretty hedge when I finally groom it. This bed here, I do have some carrot sprouts popping up. I had done the same thing with these that I had with that other bunch I just showed you, which is just kind of scattering the seeds, kind of giving some ground cover here. Calendula is still blooming, but the echinacea has died out. As you can see here, I've got zinnias still blooming in this little flower bed here. I'm going to let some of those flower heads go to seed and save those. And then I've got marigolds, some more carrots, and very late planted zinnias, but as you can see, there's buds on it. So if we're not going to get a frost for the next couple of weeks, I might get some more flowers out of that. Coming around here, I have not cleaned out the fountain in a while, as you can tell. But just a fig named Sue is doing well. It hasn't started dropping its leaves yet. And I still have some roses blooming. I moved inside the house plants, which I talked about in my last video. And the impatiens are still blooming, as are the begonias. My petunias are looking pretty sad, but I have some pretty vibrant chrysanthemum plants. The butterfly bush is starting to turn color with the fall, and so are the blueberry plants, but they also have a lot of really nice new growth. I did trim up the green stalk a bit. I harvested a bunch of sage to dry, and I removed all of the lettuces that had gone to seed, and I harvested those seeds. And I planted some of the giant spinach. just starting to sprout in some places. And the purple opal basil, I'm leaving in here for now because the bees just love it so much. But if you're wondering how to harvest the seeds from basil after they've flowered, just wait for them to get really dry like this. It's kind of easy to just pull them off like that. I really did give the strawberries a hard prune back and then sprayed with some copper fungicide to try to get rid of the fungus that had been plaguing it pretty much all summer. It's looking really good now, and there is a lot of new growth. So we'll see how it does as it continues to grow in. Just like the basil in the green stalk, I've decided to leave this basil, even though it's well past its prime, in these containers here because the bees are just so happy with it. But I did harvest a bunch of oregano to dry, and as you can see, I've still got string beans coming in almost every day. I'm picking. Over here underneath the basil, I just planted some of the giant winter spinach about 6 days ago, and it's starting to come up. Oh look, squirrel damage. But here are the Bloomsdale spinach that I planted about a month ago, and they really probably should look better by now. Be starting to get their second leaves. I think it's just because this time of year things grow so much slower than what we're used to in the spring. I haven't planted my cabbage and my purple sprouting broccoli and broccoli rabe yet. They're getting to the point where they're almost ready. I do like to have them a little bit bigger, and since they're in pretty large size pots and outside under this cloth to keep the bugs off, I'm not that worried about them getting kind of transplant shock from the cold. But I still don't have room in my beds to transplant where I'd like them to go. And Archie, the artichoke, my single seed challenge of 2023, he seems to have outgrown his fungal issue, and his leaves get awfully big for the space on the deck. So what I've been doing as they've been getting kind of way big, I've been cutting them back and then using them as mulch in the pot. And I'm hoping, since this is a globe variety, that green globe, I think it's called, and it's supposed to be hardy to zone 7 and be able to overwinter and be a perennial. So what I'm hoping is the fact that I've got it up on the deck and close to the house, and I'm going to bubble wrap the pot, and I'm hoping it'll overwinter and finally give me an artichoke next year. And just to check on the indoor plants, the basil is doing well in its window. Somebody asked about when a basil plant gets to be old, do the branches start getting woody? Now, this plant's 4 years old, hoping it will make it to its 5th. But yes, they definitely get woody towards the bottom. And that's why I call this the basil tree. The ginger, I'm not happy with the way it looks, and I think, not to fix blame on anybody but myself, I honestly think the soil that I put them in wasn't good for them. It was very, very hard. I did break it up a little bit with a fork just to get it loose, but I think it needs better draining soil. And so I may have to start the ginger again. Pepper's doing okay. Little peppers coming along just fine. I did a video on propagation, and I just wanted to bring you up to date on how they're doing. I have not done anything with any of them since I put them in their pots. It's about, well, it was September 16th, so it's a month ago. And I've got some new growth coming along at the top on a lot of them. So I'm hoping they do okay. And I'm not going to fuss with them like I did the hydrangea, because unfortunately the two hydrangea that I had propagated from my mom's house that I really, really want, both of them died. They kind of rotted and died. The hibiscus, I got some nice looking buds. I can't wait for it to bloom. And the peace lily, I potted up with a pot that's about double the size that it was in before. And now I can say, I can breathe. The green beans are starting to look really tired. I still have some pods just hanging there, ready to be harvested as dry beans. And the peppers are going okay. I'm leaving these to really turn very ripe. This is the Mancini number 2. I'm going to save his seeds this year. So that's why I'm letting them ripen, so I can make sure that I'm able to collect some viable seeds. The cherry pepper still has some peppers going. Well, this is completely slowed down, though. As you can tell by looking at the plants, there aren't any flowers anymore. And these carrots underneath the peppers really should be pretty mature by now. If not, we're going to keep them in a little while longer. They can certainly take a frost. Nope, they're not ready yet. Very slow growing carrots for me. All right. Over here, this probably wasn't the best spot for peppers this year, but I got some off of them, although the plants never really got very big. But the carrots are doing well, and I've pulled a couple of them, nice sized carrots. And again, I'm gonna basically leave them in the ground till I need them. Got a gooseneck squash there, nestled inside with all of the alyssum over there. Some zinnias blooming. And I've got some radishes here that are probably ready for me to harvest as well. And these pepper plants seem to do a little bit better in this spot. Got some nice peppers. I'm going to just let them ripen. Peppers seem to ripen a lot faster in the fall, probably because they know that their end is near. But obviously, if I am getting a frost, if it's forecasted, then I'll come in and pick them green. This broccoli plant that's been here since February has been just wonderful, giving me little broccoli florets. Once a week I've been getting at least a handful. So that's doing very well. And then unfortunately, it's time to say goodbye to this gooseneck squash. And this one I'm probably going to pull as well. Now, when I do pull it, I'm probably not going to compost any of this because I don't compost hot. So I don't think the spores would die. These peas worked out better than I expected. I planted them in between cucumbers that were still growing at the time, but as the cucumbers died off, the peas started climbing up them, the dead stems. So that's great. Don't see any flowers, so I don't know if I'm going to get full peas before frost, but you can eat these too. These pea shoots, they're good in salads apparently. I don't know. I haven't really. Well, I'll try one now. Tastes like a pea. I've had this floating row cover over these grow bags where I put in some brassicas, and as you can see, some of them just died back. The grass apparently really loves this grow bag, and but some of them are doing really well. It'll be time to take the cloth off once the white cabbage moths go away. The potatoes are doing well. I got some volunteer marigolds going on too. These are the potatoes that I planted in August, and I'm hoping to have a small harvest by Christmas. These 3 are Brussels sprouts, and these 3 were supposed to be cauliflower, but this is the only cauliflower that's sort of making it now. More brassicas that I planted where I used to have potatoes. We've got broccoli rabe over here, and we have purple sprouting broccoli in these 4 green bags over here. That is a Romanesco broccoli, which is closer to a cauliflower. It's very unusual. I hope that makes it through this winter. And this is a Waltham broccoli. Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to get any harvest whatsoever from the broccoli or cauliflower or Brussels sprouts before the real killing freeze comes in, but what I'm hoping to do is put them under plastic when it gets really deeply cold and let them overwinter, and then hopefully have a very nice harvest in the spring. Over here were those beautiful Mexican sunflowers, and they were going great, but they got blown over by the wind in one of the torrential storms that we had. But look at the color. Perfect for October. And those sunflowers are done. Those were lemon queens up there. This vegetable patch sure does look like a flower patch, doesn't it? Well, the marigolds got really big. And these were actually all volunteers. But the cherry tomatoes, they're also starting to really ripen up now. And I think I decided that next year I'm going to have more cherry tomatoes because, I don't know, they're just so satisfying to like just pick and eat them, and I don't like waiting for them to be ready. So here's something interesting. I came across a post in one of my Connecticut gardening Facebook groups, and the question was, why do our tomatoes look like this? And I explained, and I think I've mentioned this before, this is very typical when you get a lot of rain and then very little rain and then a lot of rain. And if you can see the rings on this tomato, it almost coincides with how many major rainstorms we had over the past couple of weeks. So if it looks like that, you can just cut around that and eat the rest of it. I know they look funny, but I'm not selling them. But this is interesting though, that the newer ones do not look like that. So these are Kellogg's Breakfast over here. This is a sunflower that, well, that's done. I could pull that. Calendula's doing nicely. This was a late season sowing of bush beans, and you can see there's flowers on them. So I'm hoping to get some green beans from here. These were a mix of purple, green, and yellow, I believe, mixed in with the tomato that obviously is growing weird. I sowed a bunch of peas here a couple of weeks ago, and they never sprouted, and I think my seeds were bad. Those were from self-sown seeds, and I probably should have just gone with the bag that I had purchased. But anyway, it's too late, I think, to sow peas right now. I'm not going to get anything. Now here's a late bloomer, this cauliflower. If you look inside, it's starting to really head up, which is nice. This was in the ground here from the spring through the summer, and it just started really heading up about a month ago. So that's exciting. So I guess it's a good lesson in patience. And then I have some more bush beans here, a dead zucchini that I can get rid of, and then some more tomatoes. This plant's still going, and this is a Berkeley tie-dye. And just so you can see, underneath this frost cloth over here is bok choy. I don't think they like being smushed by the cloth. I did try to lift it up by putting it, oh look, a purple green bean. It's a purple bean. I did try to lift it up off the ground by putting these on each side, but it had already been smushed quite a bit. I'm hoping that they'll really start to grow. I've never grown these before. Not even sure what bok choy tastes like, so I'm hopeful though that I can try this and it works, and maybe I'll do more of it next year. And over here in this mishmash bed, I have this broccoli has really grown a lot once the weather turned cooler. I don't know if I'm going to get any sprouts. This is a plant that I planted. I started from seed back in February, and I planted it probably in April, and it never did anything. And now all of a sudden, it's really starting to put on some growth. Got a lot of celery here that I need to harvest. If I leave them too long and they get too tall, they also get tough. So I want to come in and harvest a bunch of that this weekend. The leeks are doing well. Leeks over there too. And I'm hoping they'll be ready in about a month to start pulling, because I'd like to plant garlic where they are now. I still have some sauce tomatoes that haven't started ripening yet, but they're about to. And this is the San Marzano. And as my petunias are on the way out, my pansies are on their way in. And the chrysanthemums, of course. I think I'm going to try to plant these this year in the ground. They overwinter fine if you plant them. If you leave them in a pot, in my area anyway, they won't overwinter. They'll just die in the pot. But they do come back if you plant them. Well, that's it. I hope you enjoyed our mid-October tour of our garden. And if you did, please give it a like. And I hope you subscribe and join our growing community. And from the Ladies Garden and Home, enjoy your gardening journey. Bye. Say goodbye, lady. Lady says goodbye.